I'm Mike,
And I'm Amber. Welcome to the Covenant Chronicles,
where we tell you the truth about relationships.
giving you the tools to build the foundation you always needed. Hi. Welcome back to the Covenant Chronicles.
That must mean we're starting. Okay.
Yeah. We're back.
We are back. I'm a little distracted.
I think we're talking about something.
Still not over the freaking plague over here or whatever I caught. We were talking about Remy and his positioning in our bed.
Oh, yeah. The dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the dogs that were never allowed in the bed, but now that we have this dog, he's allowed in the bed and he's allowed to lay next to you.
I just told you, you just got to get the best dog ever. And then when you get you one of those, it's all over.
Okay.
It's all about the bully breeds, you know?
Yeah.
Our $42 pound rescue.
72-pound lump on a log.
Well, he's that too. Anyways, what were we talking? Oh, yeah. We've been meaning to get to this one. Now, I think it's been darn near 2 weeks since I heard that stupid thing on the radio.
I think it was like a week and a half ago, maybe.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. But it's a good topic.
I mean, we kind of had a little, not argument, but like disagreement over it. So here we are. We're going to talk about it.
See, this is a perfect example of why we need to talk about it. Because it was a fantastic example of like, shut up and listen.
For what?
What your partner's trying to say, duh.
What?
If you recall back to our conversation, at one point I was like, this is dumb because we're both saying the same thing and not hearing the other one.
Oh. I thought you were telling me to shut up and listen. And I was like,
no. Talking to the men out there, you got to be more direct with them. You know, with the women, you got to be a little more like, you know, sometimes it's important to just try to digest what your partner's saying. Man, it's like, no, shut up. You got to be more direct. We don't listen very well. So, like, if we're more direct.
Yeah. This is true.
Anyways, we're having a little too much fun with just talking about everything but the actual subject.
We'll get there.
So this started out because, well, let me back up. I very rarely listen to the radio. There's really nothing on the radio that's worth listening to. Yeah. I'm sorry for those of you that have your favorite talk show that listen, you know, on your 45 to an hour drive and jacked up traffic, and you've got some local talk show you listen to. But I stand by what I said. There's really nothing on the radio that's worth listening to. And for the most part. So it's a rare occurrence for me. Well, this particular morning, I happened to, where was I going? I think I was in the Jeep, and I did not feel like going through the process of connecting my Bluetooth. I was just running up to the gas station, so it was like, hey, let's just, whatever's on is on. And it happened to be a talk show, and they were talking about, I forget the context of why she was bringing it up on the radio show. And I'll probably say this, and people listening to this will know exactly what show we're talking about, and they'll maybe even heard this deal. But essentially, the woman was complaining because she was trying to figure out how to break it to her boyfriend because he was a little bit, how do I say it? Well, he wasn't on top of his crap. Like we talk about all the time, right? About a guy being on top of his stuff and actually pursuing what he's supposed to. So she decided to do a makeover of his life for him for his birthday. So she gets him a gym membership with like personal training and gets, I guess he like cut his own hair. So she paid for like a barber and she did this and she did that. Anyways, he ends up doing this and he really starts feeling himself. And then he starts executing these things on a regular basis. Well, then he becomes like a gym rat and, you know, super into like his appearance and all this stuff, right? And so you and I were having a talk because I had made a comment about like basically it cracks me up that when women want something out of a guy and then they push him to do that and then they don't follow him in that journey, basically was what I was getting at. And I forget how exactly I said it because we probably should have recorded this like that day. But essentially it was like she pushed him to do that and then she doesn't follow him in that journey. And now, you know, she wants to have a lazy day on the weekend where she sleeps in and eats this unhealthy food and drinks her whatever 10,000 calorie Starbucks drink and he's not into it. And you know, whatever comment I had, and I'm sure it was the way I said things, which is what, you know, triggered you. And then, you know, we went into this back and forth where essentially, you know, you were saying that men often miss the point. And I was basically saying, well, women always think they want something. And then when they get it, it's not actually what they want. Right. And what we went back and forth on was these 2 points until we hit a certain, I guess, point in the conversation where basically I was like, hey, this is dumb. We're saying the same thing kind of, but we're not listening to each other. And the reason you said, yeah, well, maybe. And I said, no, for sure. And the reason I knew that was because we had both said these words. I hear you, but.
Yeah.
Right? And that is the telltale sign in these conversation. And I wanted to talk about this, or we wanted to talk about this, because this is a great multifaceted conversation to give a real live version of a lot of the things that we talk about, right?
Yeah.
First of which being, well, when somebody is looking for change in their life and they push change and then the change happens and then they don't follow that change, it will quickly run away from them if they're not willing to step up their game. The second point being was the point that you were making was, well, the point that she wanted to get at from a woman's perspective was it wasn't necessarily about what they were doing. It was about the need for connection and wanting to do something with them or together as a couple. And then the better or the best part of this whole situation was exactly what we talk about in the communication, in which how do you change the way you communicate and the telltale signs that you can look for, right? And like we've said over and over, we are not always perfect at it 100% of the time. But what makes us so great at it is, one, we do communicate in a much better way out of the box, typically. But when we don't, we identify those situations. The perfect example is in this situation in which I said, hey, this is silly. We're saying the same thing. And we're not actually listening to each other. And when you said, well, yeah, maybe. And I said, no, for sure, because here's why. And it is that telltale sign right there. I hear you, but. Because when you say the but, and then you continue to make a point after that, you are invalidating everything that you say you just heard from your partner. at which point, whether you truly heard them or not, it is perceived that you are not actually hearing them. And then you're going to repeat this cycle over and over where each of you are trying to make a point.
Yeah. So I actually went back and found
I
our
saw you.
texts because I wanted to remember what exactly I said. But yeah, we were talking about this. And you basically were like, you told me the whole story, and I was like, it's the reason that the woman feels the way she does is because it's about balance, and men are too logical and don't get that. It's great that you're on your shit, but if you don't ever take the time to slow down and spend time with her, then the connection and emotion that we often need gets lost.
Mm-hmm.
And men don't seem to understand that you thrive off of having a purpose, which is that okay, now I've got something, so I'm going to drive and do it continuously and going after it. But then women thrive off of the connection and emotion that they have in a relationship. And if we're missing that from our partner, most women often don't understand how to express that or to get their partner to understand that that's what they're missing. So a lot of times it comes across as, I don't like you doing this, when it's not really about them doing it. It's just that they're now missing the connection that's been lost because they feel like they're, so focused on now the getting in shape and looking good, and they've taken time away that used to be a connection point for them.
Mm-hmm.
And there hasn't been some sort of redirection to the connection, right?
So I was just thinking through this, and actually I'm really glad we did bring this up, because it's like this, it's like the donkey from Shrek talking to Shrek about onions and layers, right? Because the more we talk about this, the more I'm peeling back layers of this, right?
Uh-huh.
Because then what it triggered me back to was, okay, where were we at in that current day? Well, we had a couple of days of disconnection.
Yeah.
You were feeling very disconnected. And so, in our previous podcast, we've talked about how when women communicate, it is not always the physical words. You have to read the context,
You're just
right?
now picking up on that because I was totally trying to send you a message.
No, I was there, which is why it took me a few minutes in the conversation, but the whole stopping it and saying, hey, this is silly. We're saying, essentially the same thing here, right? But here's the context, right? This is great because this gives a perfect example. Because hopefully right now, all these women are going ding, ding, ding. See, I've tried to tell him this. And hopefully the men listening are actually going to pick up on this and go, oh, I get it. So the point that I was trying to make was simply the fact that, hey, you encouraged him to have better self-care. And you encouraged him to go to the gym, and you encouraged him to eat healthier and to get in shape and take better care of himself with getting his hair cut professionally and, right? If that is what you do, you need to follow through, and that's where you need to go. You can't push your partner, and this is true for men and women. You can't push your partner to a place and then get upset when you are not willing to step to that place. And the point that I was making there was, well, she's upset because he won't lay in bed all morning long on the weekend and drink the 1,000-calorie or whatever, some goofy Starbucks drink and eat whatever pastry donut thing, right? Because he's worried about eating healthy.
Yeah.
So the point I was getting at was, you did this, you started the trend. If you want to spend time with him, now it's completely different if he's like, oh no, I can't spend time with you, I'm too focused on this. I get it, right? But if you now want to spend time with him, okay, well, now you need to get up early on the weekend and go to the gym with him.
Yeah.
And you need to plan to eat the healthier thing and drink a pre-workout or a protein shake or whatever in the morning instead of your Starbucks drink and your donut or your pastry, right? And that was the point that I was trying to make. But the way in which I said it, and you coming from a place of disconnection at that moment, went into like what you were trying to explain of like, okay, well, she feels some type of way because it's not about the physical actions. It's she misses connection and doesn't know how to explain it and how to get him to reinitiate connection, right? Yeah. So what's funny is when you said this, it wasn't even necessarily you disagreeing with what I said. You were trying to express to me your feelings of disconnection, right?
Yeah.
And this is where like men logical brain and we have to catch ourselves, right? Because then I'm like, you went off on this tangent and I'm like, yeah, that's cool and all. But she pushed him to a better life and then wasn't willing to follow and complained that he went to, and then you're like, no, I hear you, but here, and it was like this, and we went back and forth a couple times, and I'm like, what am I freaking missing?
You weren't picking it up, were you?
To be fair, I'm pretty sure if you go back to that text, it was earlier in the morning, and over those couple days, I was consuming a lot of caffeine, and I'm pretty sure we had not made it through any of those caffeine, what would you call it? Ways of administering caffeine. We had not made it through any full situation there. But it took me a little bit to catch on and go, okay. And then finally I said, well, this is silly. We're saying the similar things and we're on the same page, but we're not seeing that we're actually on the same page because we're trying to make the point and this and that. And, there was more to it. I was trying to summarize it, but there's more to what I said. And that's, like I said, you came back and you said, yeah, maybe. I'm like, no, for sure. Because we said this. Right. And that was the triggering point of like, when I realized that in the last 30 seconds, we both said, I hear you, but
yeah,
I was like, oh my Lanta, what are we doing right now? Right. And that was the like, aha. Okay.
You said, like, I get what you're saying, but the flip side is that why not engage in the stuff you push them into? Is that I don't think that's the point. It's not that women don't want men to keep doing those things. They're just seeking some connection that's been lost. Men often get one-tracked mind and back burner other things, which often are their relationship. And then it kind of just continued on. And I did say, I guess.
That's what it was. You said, I guess, when I said that.
And then you were like, on another note, this is stupid. Yeah. It was funny. I remember the conversation and I remember writing it and being like, let's see if he actually picks up on what I'm saying right now.
I'm pretty sure our conversation after that led into how we've been disconnected in the last few days.
Yeah. Later in the day.
Yeah. Because we were both doing stuff, so it wasn't like a constant conversation. We kind of both went about what we were doing, and then we ended up, conversing and talking a little bit, maybe an hour or two later, probably, about basically how we had been disconnected and whatnot. But it was funny, and this is a great place to actually, I guess, focus on, because there's so many pieces to this, right? That is like, this is what we've been talking about, this right here, right?
Yeah.
And like, what examples do you want to pull? And here I am beating it like a dead horse, but it's It's true, because I'm trying to show, like, this is your relationship. This is the things that you guys are missing, right?
Yeah.
And also show you that, like, it's not always perfect. It's not ever going to be 100% perfect. But the key is improve it on a regular basis. And when you have a time that it's not perfect, being able to identify that and steer back to a place of connection.
Yeah.
Right? But that's literally the purpose of all of this, right? We have so many different attributes, so many different parts of relationships in this one, like, story over the radio, and you and I conversing about it, in the sense of, like, we've talked about, right? Okay, so go back to the beginning. The dude is not handling his crap. Okay? How many times have I said this over and over and over? If she's not doing the thing you want in bed the way you want it, you are not handling your crap. It's not anything else. It's not whatever. Are there medical things that can come up? Yes, 100%. Is this real? Yes, 100%. And I don't want to invalidate the people that are dealing with that. But 90% of the time, the blame for the kids and the stress and the, oh, I'm not feeling it, and, oh, well, this or that, or, we've had kids and it's just different now, or, oh, I just am not that person anymore, or whatever. Oh, I have this condition, that condition. Now I see all these ads for pushing, women to go get all these levels checked. And yes, there's 100% health reason. I don't want to discourage you from that. But guess what? Your levels are probably partially screwed up because your man's not handling his stuff and your system is not doing what it's supposed to.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic, but
right. But that's the point, right? So we go from that. So she pushes him to care about himself, to put self-care in, to start putting the work in, to be motivated, right? The gym is a great example, but the thing is it's not about going to the gym. Is this a great place? Yes. We've had this talk a ton of times. Working out or physical activity a priority in your life can lead to a ton of health benefits, can lead to a ton of mental, right? One of the biggest mental health things you can do is the physical things, right? But it's the purpose of a man having purpose. It's the point of a man having purpose and going after that purpose. That is what that's about.
Yeah.
So she pushes him to help him find his purpose. So then he gains his purpose. Mm-hmm. And then he gets laser focused on his purpose. And now she's upset because there's disconnection. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, there's two sides to it. If he is just flat out forgot about her, okay, that's a problem. Now, the flip side is if she did this and pushed him, and then she just wants to keep living this unhealthy lifestyle and he doesn't want that anymore, well, stop complaining. You made a choice to push him. He's a better person for it now. You don't want to level up your game. That's on you. Mm-hmm. Right? But there's the whole conversation that we had about, like, sometimes it's maybe he hasn't offered that. Maybe he got laser focused and forgot about her and doesn't make her feel like she can be a part of his life now. And if that's the case, well, that's an issue, right? Which was like the point that you were making, where you were trying to show the other side of it, right?
Because to be honest, like, I don't think that most of the time, if the guy is actually, like, doing what he should be and, like, living purposefully and all of those things, like, she's not going to be upset that he's doing that. it comes when he's doing that, but not either including her or just completely lacking connection altogether.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the issue comes in. Because I don't think that there's really ever a time that a woman's going to be like, ew, my man got in shape and looks good. Like, this is just ridiculous. Like, I don't think that that's ever going to happen. But it is a frustration when you feel like, oh, I feel like we used to be more connected and now we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know how to like tell him that other than I feel like all of these things are now taking up all of his time. So is it that? You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's usually where that comes from. Not that they're actually mad that they have a purpose or are doing what they should be.
Well, there are women that are mad because, now their dude looks good and now they have competition, but,
Oh, well. Yeah, I guess that's an insecurity thing.
Yeah. So here we go. Here's another, aspect of this whole situation. Let's talk about the insecurity. No, we don't we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But it is, like I said, that's why I love this whole experience, because it's so multifaceted to where it's like, here's a one situation that encompasses most things that we've talked about. Right?
Yeah.
Well, and then you go into, like we said, our communication. Okay. Well, how much do we talk about? It's not the things you say, it's how you say it. Right? We've brought that up. 330 plus thousand words in the English language. Your brain thinks 3,300 are important. You do the math and the percentage.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the words you're using. It is how you are saying it, right?
Yeah.
It's your tone. It's your body language, right? I mean, it's the statistics are astronomical in the sense of like, it's 7% the words you use, 38% 38% tone and 55% body language is communication, right? Those are the statistics.
Yeah.
So I said something, and the way that I said it, not what I said, the way I said it triggered your lack of connection recently, right? It's not you not taking out the trash, man. Okay? It's not that you didn't ask to take out the trash like she asked.
Yeah.
It's something else. So listen to what she's saying.
Yeah.
Right? Same situation here. So I said something, the manner in which I said it triggered your struggle with our lack of connection at that time.
Yeah.
So then you brought it up. And then, okay, next thing we talk about in relationships, actually hearing what your partner is saying and not listening to respond, right?
Yeah.
So then we have this example where, well, we didn't execute that very well right out of the gate. It took us a little bit.
Yeah.
And this wasn't like a 2-hour thing. It was 5-10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
A couple minutes of text, really. And that's the best. That's the other thing. Like, we're not talking where you and I actually got upset, raised our voice. Like, it was some texting back and forth, right?
Yeah.
A few minutes of texting. But the point is, we didn't do that very well. I didn't do that very well, right? I didn't hear what you were saying right away until I caught the cues, right? And this is the other part that we've talked about. Having markers or cues in your relationship, the health of the relationship, the things your partner's saying, they all have signs. It's the red flags, right? Are the red flags smacking you in the face, but instead of you paying attention to them, you're collecting them like you're playing Mario Kart, right? We make that joke all the time about relationships. Somebody picks a relationship and there's so many red flags. It's like, well, they're slapping you right in the face. You were just collecting them like you're playing Mario Kart instead of, paying attention to the red flags. So, but that's the thing, right? So when you look at this situation, didn't do it very well. Then I went, aha, neither of us are listening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's stop that first of all, right? So we did. And then took the time, right? Didn't turn it into an argument, didn't let this thing keep going, didn't go down this rabbit hole for the next couple hours and let it distract us from our tasks. We both went about stuff, working on business things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, as the conversation just kind of went, little things would come up here and there. We didn't cut communication, but we weren't super engaged. And then as it came back around and we actually did have a little bit of time to have more communication, the focus of that was the disconnection we've had.
Yeah.
Right? So when you look at the steps, realized, stopped before it could be harmful, took a break, focused on continuing to move our lives forward, our days forward, our relationship forward, instead of letting that just tear down stuff, figured out the real problem, and then addressed it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's literally what we talk about over and over and over and over again. And here's an example of how it manifests. Here's an example of how it might not go great, but you can still change it. And it's either going to be a place of disconnection or it's going to be a place of connection.
Yeah.
Right? Because then we springed off of that, had a couple days of kind of like figuring out, well, why have we been so disconnected? Right? Because it wasn't like an instant light bulb, okay, problem solved.
Yeah.
Had a couple days and then saw a stupid intimacy challenge online and decided to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And well, let's do this to reconnect. Right? And so that's the point. And this is the point and the purpose of everything we've been trying to say in the last 25 episodes. Here you go. Here's the key. And if you can pay attention to everything we just talked about and actually learn from it and execute, your relationship will be 180 from what it is now.
Yeah. Oh, it is learning how to pick up on those cues and actually properly communicate, and then, like you said, stopping things before it gets to a point of becoming overboard. But it is fun. It is funny to look back on now and like talk about, because what I was saying did relate to the topic that you brought up, but I also was adding in stuff to be like, hint, hint.
I got it eventually.
Some time
Mm-hmm.
to pick up on the hints
Mm-hmm.
that I was throwing out. Which, you know, I feel like in general, like we probably as women need to be better about just saying things instead of circumventing them with hints.
Crazy.
But sometimes when we are feeling disconnected, we aren't great at being direct.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of use those hints to be like, hello,
Mm-hmm.
pick up on what I'm saying. So I don't have to flat out be like, you suck, I feel disconnected.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's where the partnership of it comes in, right? So if you're working towards being more direct and I'm working towards understanding you, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose. Instead of sitting in the frustration of, well, women aren't direct, and then women saying, well, men don't understand us. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Okay, if that's a problem, supposedly, right? And we can go back to the scripture, and what you say is a problem is going to be a problem, and what you say is not a problem is not going to be a problem, right? What you say in your heart, think in your mind, that's your reality, essentially, right? So the purpose of that, though, or the point of it, is that you are a team.
Mm-hmm.
At least if that's the purpose of being in a relationship. Now, if you're with the other person because you don't want to be alone or because of financial gain or whatever else, well, we probably can't help you.
Yeah.
At that point, like, if you're in it for the wrong reasons, it's going to suck no matter what. Sorry to tell you, it is what it is. Take the goods and focus on those, right?
Yeah.
But the same is true of a good relationship, in the sense that, what are you focused on? Are you focused on all the negative, or are you focused on the positive?
Yeah.
Because when you focus on the positive consistently and you have positive internal conversations with your partner, about your partner, with yourself, then there's no room for the negative.
Yeah.
Right. And then it becomes this situation in which you are basically both working for the betterment of the relationship. And it's a situation in which you are working towards communicating with a way, and being bold and being direct and being comfortable in saying what's on your mind without having to send smoke signals, right?
Yeah.
And I'm working on understanding the smoke signals, so that way, regardless of where we're at, we're understanding each other and we're connected, because there's going to be times where I'm better at understanding stuff and maybe you're not doing great at communicating at that time. Or there's going to be times where you're doing great about communicating, but I'm not hearing it, right? And it's kind of this push and pull. But as long as you're always working towards that center, that's what the goal is.
Yeah. Which we do a pretty good job of in general. But it's taken a lot of work to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't always been that way, but we have also made it a priority to work towards that, because we didn't want to be in a place of not being able to communicate or feeling like we can't say what we're thinking or feeling having that emotional security between us. And that's been super important to me. So
Yeah, definitely. What's important to you in your relationship, right?
mhm.
What's the key? What you make important is going to be what you're going to get. And that's
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that like emotional security wasn't important to you. I think it was important for you that I felt that way, but it definitely took time of understanding each other on a lot of levels to get to a point where, we could feel comfortable and safe to communicate. And I do think that's where a lot of relationships get stuck, is not feeling comfortable with that open, honest communication, which is then why women often are not super direct in their communication, because they don't feel like they can be direct. So we do a lot of like hinting and like talking around the issues so that like we're not being direct about it, because then we don't want to get hurt if it goes sideways. It's a whole thing. But
that just made me think about,
what?
Back to the, like, men doing what they're supposed to, and how, like, in the polarity of the relationship, they're supposed to complement each other, and men are supposed to be the opposite of women in most cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
That right there, because you just express, like, how when you're not feeling confident, that's the basis, right? It's like when you're not feeling confident and safe and secure, that's when that comes up.
Yeah.
Part of a woman's attractiveness, or how would you say that? Part of the man's attractiveness to her is his confidence and being concise and direct for that reason, because it's the opposite of what she feels. And by him doing that, it makes her feel secure.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a random little thought bubble in there, but.
Well, I guess that's probably a good spot to kind of wrap it up, if you will.
I don't know what that's like, but you know.
Oh, my Lanta.
On that note, so homework. Other than listening to this podcast a couple times until you get it, go think of a situation that you recently went through and break down the situation the way we did. Write it down.
Yeah.
Especially for the men. I mean, it's important for the women too, but like for the men, like you didn't hear her, I promise you. Go break it down. Write it down.
Pick up those hints.
Nope, he didn't.
Because I promise there were some in that communication.
He saw the smoke signals. For sure. He saw the smoke signals and went back to caveman. Ooh, fire. It's like in the cartoons, you know, where they like have the little smoke signals and it like spells out a word. Like that's what she's doing. She's like gave him a whole word and he's like, ooh, fire. And he's over here trying to roast a hot dog, you know?
And if she's mad at you for doing something, like there's probably some reason. Go figure out what it is. What's the underlying communication there? Are you disconnected?
Yeah, so take that recent disagreement, not seeing eye to eye, whatever it is, get a piece of notebook paper and break it down and examine yourself, not what they did. Examine yourself. What were your failure points in that? That's your homework.
That's a good one.
For sure. This led me to the next topic we're going to talk about. Actually, I have a good one. But they'll have to wait and see. So.
All right. Well, I'm curious too. So.
All right. We'll talk to you all later.
Bye, guys.